before we like formally get started, why don't everyone sort of just say, I guess, where you're from? Let's do a time. I think there's a bunch of us like in the East Coast time zone, but it's two different countries, which is interesting. I think Garrett, you're the only one that's not in the Eastern time zone. So I'll do it on order of my screen. James, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, so I am up here near Toronto. So I'm about an hour and a half south of Toronto. I'm actually about the same distance to Buffalo as I am Toronto. So I'm. What else do you want me to talk about? Just a quick intro, right? That's where I'm from. I don't know what I'm
Last
into.
pickup. You pick up last.
That was yesterday. It was Air Max 90 laser blue.
There you go.
Yeah, for like, so they're usually 180 Canadian, and I paid 120 after taxes and shipping. So.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I'm like you, man. I call myself cheap because I'm like it's either retail or like it has to be on discount. If I miss, I miss. It is what it is.
Yeah, I hear that. Garrett, you're next up.
Garrett, also known as Black Seal out there in the IG world, as far as my sneaker collection goes. Dallas, Texas, representing the South. I'll be that person. My last pickup, I'm New Balance heavy, so my last pickup was a V5, but it was a specialty V5. It was from one of those DTLR. Was it gray and red? I don't think it has a name to it. Like maybe is it Liberty? You think I would know that right off the top of my head. I'm really not happy about it, to be honest with you, because first shoes that I've received that smell like smoke. And
no,
man.
First time ever. And I have bought hundreds of shoes. And my mom and dad were smokers, so I have a very keen sense of smell when it comes to that. And first shoes
you can't hide it.
I can't get away. I don't want to be a certain way about it. So, and it's a very rare, because I think it's the Liberty, and I can't remember if it's a DTLR or whatever, but I think they're called Liberty or something like that. And it's such a good looking shoe because I went to SMU, Southern Methodist University, and our colors are exactly what this shoe is. But it's not aggressive, but it smells like smoke. And yes, James, you're right. I cannot get it out of it, and I'm not gonna send them back. I might just mow my lawn with them if I ever mow my lawn.
Well, it's a dad shoe, so it's like perfect for it, right? So.
And on our last podcast, we didn't do introductions, Dave. So I want to throw in where it started. 1989 Nike Michael. They were Jordans, but they were Nikes when I started it. The Jordan 4 Fire Red is my first shoe that I fell in love with, and it's created this 40-year problem that I've had. I've been chasing the dragon for, now 32 years because that shoe. And so I've had Bo Jackson's, Andre Agassi's, Scottie Pippen's. I think the Griffey thing, I'm a Texas Ranger fan, so I couldn't get behind the Griffey thing with the Mariners.
I'm a big Griffey fan. He's my favorite player of all time.
I like Griffey, but I couldn't do it because I think you only wear things unlike these kids that wear Jordans and can't tell you anything about Michael Jordan. I'm totally against that. If you're one of those cool kids that wears a Metallica shirt and you can't name a Metallica song, I think you should take it off. And so to me, I couldn't wear Griffey's because I'm a Texas Ranger fan. And so I was just nah, I respect Griffey, but I couldn't do it. So I just wanted to throw that in there because last time we didn't get to talk about where it all began.
I appreciate that follow through. Since we're talking about Griffey, let's jump to Vinny. I know you're a diehard New York.
Oh yeah, I'm not a Griffey fan.
What? Come on.
I'm not. I'm a Yankee fan, so he comes at my Yankees real hard, and I'm home team all the time. Yeah, I think he just released something like last year where he was I think he said something that he would never play for the Yankees. I don't know. He said
Because
something disparaging comments.
it was because he was when he was a kid, when his father went to like when Ken Griffey Sr. went to play there, he went to like I don't know, like he got to go on the field, but then like one of the Yankee like managers, something like that, was like super rude to him. Like not rude, but like actually like a jerk, and told him to basically get off the field. Like even though it was batting practice or whatever, it was like some story behind that. So there is a legit reason.
He held a grudge, but I gotta tell you,
Yeah.
you go to Yankee Stadium, everybody's yelling at you. It's like the most rude place on the planet. It's like you can't sit anywhere, you can't stand anywhere. Place is the worst.
It's the Bronx. What else do you expect? It's the Bronx.
Yeah, it's horrific. I like Citi Field a lot better.
Citi Field is the best place.
Definitely, I would definitely prefer Citi Field over Yankee Stadium.
You waiting from my introduction?
Yeah.
Okay. What's up, guys? I know some of you I don't. It's the first time I'm meeting with you guys. My name is Vinny. 37 years old, born and raised in New York. I live outside, a little north from New York. I'm in Westchester County. In White Plains, about 20 minutes about 30-minute car ride out of the city. I've been a sneakerhead, as long as I can remember. I've always, like I said, I grew up in an urban center, so everything about street culture, from hip hop to sports to sneakers, have always stuck with me. Have always been a big part of my life. I thought I would shake some of this stuff as I have been adulting, but that has not. It's just a big part of who I am. And there's nothing better about this sneaker game than what we have right here. Just the organic relationships. There's always the negative side to sneakers, whether you guys have heard about it with bots and what's happened with Nike in the last week, and all this, the resellers, and we know that comes with the territory. But this right here, this dialogue, this podcast, I texted Dave, like, you did a great job and stuff. I'm like, how are your subs, or how are your views? He was like, I don't do it for that. I could care less. I don't even know. Great answer.
I haven't looked
the answer that I should have expected. So we do it because we love it. It's our hobby. Our wives may look at us in a different type of way. My last pickup, again, I've been slowing things down. That's why I'm perfect for these topics. But I actually made 2 pickups within a day apart. Dave tipped me off on the 991 anniversary pair from New Balance. So I did get those in. I already wore those. And then, I don't know, it might be a little too early. I hid it from my wife, who's in the other room right now.
That's why I was quiet when I said mine.
I'm sorry. I just got to do it. Only reason I got them is because I won the raffle. I also love these. So I got my hands on these.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I know
I remember
it's a
you
polarizing sneaker because of that toe box, but I think this is a work of art. I can't believe I even hit on the app, on that Juice Store app, which I never even heard of. So
that's the website for that brand, for Clot. That's their website.
Right. I figured it was all Clot stuff. I'm about to erase the app, but this is what I really needed. But I don't know what I'm gonna do with these yet. I'm gonna see where the market takes it. And because I do love them, I would love to wear these. But to me, there's a price to every sneaker, to start off our budgeting talk. But well, I guess we'll get into that later. I guess that's it. Anything else, Dave? Anything else?
That's it.
Right, cool. All right.
That's it. Good job. Justin, what's up?
Not much. I'm Justin, originally from New York. Now I'm in Maryland. I probably the newest here when it comes to actually buying sneakers and being interested in sneakers. I didn't get interested into sneakers until 2016 when I saw Ronnie Fieg's Super Greens and the craziness that all that was about. And I came from it into sneakers in a different direction, where I was looking for more about color and quality. I came from the world of Japanese denim, so yeah. Definitely I look at it as a quality thing. most of the time. Sometimes there's exceptions, but anyway. My latest pickup, thanks for reminding me, Vin, was also the 991 anniversary pair. But David hates me a little bit for this. I got it pretty well under retail. I think I don't know. There's a store out in Poland that sells it for under retail and with free shipping. So I got it for like under 240. So
Nice.
yeah. So there we go, budgeting.
There you go.
I think I'm the only one that completely skipped that shoe and I refuse to buy it. Like I'm not doing it. Like I can't. There's too many that look just like it. And like I have too much gray in my closet. Back to what Vinny was talking about, my wife probably does not understand why I have 32 pairs of gray New Balance. And I just couldn't see paying another 240 or whatever. And like we have the hookup, from Matt in Chicago, but whoo, like I just couldn't do it. And by the way, I wanted to point out that the shoe I was talking about is actually the YCMC Loyalty New Balance 990 V5. But again, it pissed me off because I got them smelling like smoke. So
That sucks.
That's horrible. That's the worst. So now that we've done like intros, pickups, I guess, I've had this conversation with like all of you in some respect, or I've at least noticed that all of you are very like particular and are not into paying like the resale. I know Justin does occasionally goes after something for resale, but I know for the most part, most of us are like, yeah, it's not going to happen. What is your sort of budgeting mechanism? What are some of the things that sort of like you have adopted over the years? I think that like for me personally, I've always like when I got back into sneakers after college, it was like, oh, I gotta have that. Oh, I gotta have that. And like I would buy so much that like I eventually realized like I never wear this or I don't really like it. I just wanted it because I wanted it in that moment. And I've had to like really refine down to like, okay, I will wear a gray sneaker. I know that if it's gray, it's probably gonna get worn multiple times. Like even though I have like 30 gray pairs of sneakers, I'm more apt to wear certain colors. I know that I'm more apt to wear a runner than I am a Jordan. So it has to be something really special or something really, really, really cool in a Jordan for me to like pursue it, like, really, really full-heartedly. So what are some of the things that like really you hone in on when you're trying to buy something and think about?
I'll jump in there. Dave, you hit the nail on the head. Do I wear it? I made a deal with my wife, and much like you all, I got back in. Well, I never left. When I was in college, I would buy the low Chucks, and you could buy them before Nike bought Converse. You could buy them for like $20, and you could get any color you wanted. So I had like 40 pairs of low Chucks. I didn't like the high top Chucks. I had to have the low top Chucks. And so when I got back into the game, and there's been the storytelling like we've talked about before is very important to me. Like I like that you can look at those pair of the Saucony hamburgers, and you're like, wow, that's a hamburger, and it's not blatant, but you know exactly what they're talking about. But like my wife and I made that argument because agreement that if I don't wear it, I don't own it, and so everything I own, I try to wear it. And you hit the nail on the head. Like gray, I have too many gray New Balances. And that's why I skipped that 991, is because it's just another thing for me, another pair of gray that I'll rotate somewhere. Like if you, on any given day, I'm wearing like the gray 992. Like that's probably my go-to, or the gray 998. Like one of those two is probably what I'm wearing to the grocery store or whatever, 990, yeah. But if I'm not, then what's the point? And I think there's a differentiation between, I'm not a collector, I'm a sneakerhead. And to me, the difference is I wear them. Like I'm not collecting them. And like Vinny brought up, I too believe that everything has a price. And if I'm not wearing them, then I'm going to sell them. I copped the my first big hit on the sneaker app. My only big huge hit was I copped the Air Max 90 off-white. What's the tan one? The tan that had the
Desert Ore, I think is what it is.
yeah,
Right?
I copped those for retail, and I turned around and sold them for $800. You know why? Because I knew I was never gonna wear them. And like Vinny said, like there's a price to it. Like I knew that 800 at that point, it got up to like $800, and that's where I sold it. Now I think you can get them in the fives or something like that. But I sold it because I knew I would never put it on my feet because I don't want $800 on my feet. Now, if it's used, then it's used and I'm cool with it. But if it's not, then I'm not. And so, you know, I think it's, again, I hold it sacred that my wife puts up with my insanity. So if I'm not wearing it, I'm not, like, it's going to be gone out of my closet. And I don't care what it is. I've let go of some stuff that would blow people's minds because I'm just, for you that like Saucony, I had Only in Soho, like, and I copped that for way below retail, and that got up to like $1,200 at one point, and I was just like, I'm just not gonna wear it. So why do I have it?
Yeah, I mean, at least for me, I think that like the number one rule for me, which I think might be hard for a lot of people, maybe not us, but a lot of other people, is sticking to one shoe if it comes to like either a model or a brand. You know, really avoiding hype is really the biggest thing. You know, it's like if you can, you know, really have that free will to hold yourself back and ignoring the hype, that really creates a bigger budget for maybe shoes that are easier to obtain, cheaper to obtain, and easier to wear, at least in my opinion. That's where the major problem when it comes to buying shoes is so much stuff comes out that's hyped up beyond belief, and it's just that's what really crushes people's wallets.
Yeah, like, you know, to jump in, like it's very similar to, obviously, again, I'm preaching to the choir here, but like it's very much zoning in on a shoe, looking at it and researching it, looking at it, going like more than once. Even if it's about to release, right? Maybe it did release already, and you're like, oh, you know what? And for me at least, if I have to think about it and go like, will I actually wear this, even for like 5 minutes, like that split second where it's like, am I actually even gonna wear this? And then if it's not, it's just like, you know what? Maybe I'll think about it, and if it's meant to be, it'll sit. Like the laser blues or the infrareds. I didn't have the money when the infrareds released, right? That's another thing, right? Talk about budgeting. I have a promise to my wife. It was Christmas time, right? Christmas season. Guess what? There's kids' gifts, there's wife's gifts, everything. I'm like, I don't have money to do this. I don't want to go into like stupid debt for no reason, even if it's just, you know, whatever it was. So it's 190 here or 180 here is what it was going for. And I was like, you know what? I really want this pair, but I can't afford it right now. I just can't. And just so happened that it came back around recently where someone had received them and they're like, oh, I already have a pair. And it was on another podcast. And like, I spoke to this person like every so often. I message them like, hey, like, you know, would you, like, since you got them, like, would you accept a retail for them? And the person's like, yeah, no problem. So I got it for retail still, right? So it's like, I was able to wait. I was able to do it when I was able to, not just like jumping on it right at that point. Like they don't resell for a ton. I realized that, but again, it was still over retail. And again, I'm preaching to the choir, but I don't want to just pay for retail for something that is readily available. It should be readily available. Laser Blues was the same thing, like a very recent pickup. Again, you know, I was like, oh, I won't get them. I already got the infrareds, but guess what? It went on a crazy sale, and I'm like, well, you know, I have it right now, kind of in budget. And but I think planning is a big part of it too. Like we all know, hey, the internet gives us everything. It tells us when things are roughly going to release or exactly when they're going to release. And you know, through the discussions, like, because I have this budget in place, like I have a monthly budget that my wife gave to me, basically said, okay, you went a little crazy last year. It's time to time to like focus on a specific budget because we have other things to pay for. And yeah, so, you know, speaking about this month, I wanted the bacons, right? I'm like, bacons, right? Everyone wants bacons. And there was talks that it would have as much as, or as many as the infrared 90s. But guess what? As it gets closer, the talks are like, no, it's not going to be like that. So it was one of those things like, you know what? I'm not going to get a pair. There's no way. I'll go in, I'll try to get a pair. But at the end of the day, it does give me that little bit of extra money to spend on something that probably none of you have on your pickup list. But the RS Dreamers, I'm a big Puma basketball fan. When they came back out, I was a fan of them. I figured I'd hop onto something that they're pretty sleek. They're actually, you talk about quality, the quality is excellent on Puma basketball shoes. Excellent.
They're always gone. I have been wanting a pair of the Dreamers for a while, and
so
like,
they re-released on the 6th in the US, but they release on the 25th, so the day before Air Max Day, they release on the Canadian site the OG RS Dreamers. Yeah. No, the cool thing is though, so like usually for like cost, so like in the US, you guys, you know, let's just say how much were the infrareds in the US? 140 US?
yeah.
Yeah, so they're 180 here, but like Puma basketball, for some odd reason, it's only like a $10 difference. So it's like 125 in the US, it's 135 here. I don't know why. So weird. So I always get excited about that because I see the difference. I'm like, ooh, that's like a deal. But yeah, so like they're re-releasing them, hoping to get a pair. Yeah, because I didn't expect them to go because none of the other basketball shoes went. I think I've gotten all of them on sale, to be honest. Maybe except one, but yeah, it comes down to planning, I think, in a lot of ways. Because yeah, there are other things that we need to pay for, you know, like I'm sure we'll get into more of that, but you know, house, cars, kids, daycare.
Absolutely.
It's like another mortgage.
Oh man.
As much, to answer your question, Dave, as much as I've evolved as a sneakerhead over the decades, and you know, with trends and styles, and you know, getting into different subgenres within the sneaker game, I've had, to answer your question, I've had mechanisms always in place, just from my upbringing, coming from, you know, where both my parents were, you know, laborers, because you know they were, you know, came from a different country. So, you know, we didn't have much, you know, we had enough, but we didn't have extra growing up. I kind of always held some constructs and some of my own little rules because I know I can just go nuts. Over the years, from when I was in my 20s, broke as Garrett was, all the way through now, you know, where I do have means now where I can, but I just choose not to. First off, it was really never about quantity with me. Maybe it was subconsciously when I first started, but not in a long time. Definitely not now. And by that I mean I don't ever, as young as I was, it was never on an impulse buy. It was like James was referring to, where, you know, there was some planning that went in place, or, you know, a lot of it, you know, was going on sneaker blogs and looking at the stuff. This is part of the hobby, you know, was like just kind of hyping myself up. Forget the hype machine, hyping myself up and looking at the sneaker, studying the sneaker. What the heck did Nike do in switching this color around? Why would they change this material? Why don't they just give us the OG with putting OG on it? All these things I took into account. Always will. If it's not done right as a retro, I'm not getting it. You know, other constructs. You guys are gonna really think I'm a cheapskate, but I said I will never spend my limit. I will never spend more than $200 on a pair of sneakers. That means retail box price, with taxes included and all that, and resale. So, and my resale back then was eBay. And that was my rule. And this is when Jordans were still like $140, $150. Every year I felt like they kept going up $10, $10. So I think they're up to 190, but most of them, like special releases, are like over 200. I don't even know. But basketball sneakers like Durant's and all that stuff, when I was in that subgenre, was just like, 115, 130. It wasn't expensive, and with tax, you're about the 150 mark, which I was fine with. And then over the years, like I said, I've evolved. My limit became 250. And now my limit is 300. Now, you could say that that's due to inflation, the rising standard of living, or whatever the case, whatever you could chalk it up to in economics. But I actually think 300 has to be my limit. And I've only gone over 300, like maybe, and it was retail, like once or twice. That was it. And that was because tax put me over the top. But I will not go beyond that. I think that is way too materialistic. I can find, and again, like, and I love these sneakers. Like, I have a passion for it. But again, you guys always hear it, on to the next one. There'll be another release. Certain sneakers do hold a sentimental value, a feeling of nostalgia, or it's just fresh to you. It's just super dope. And you're like, I like that color. I like the way it looks. I like the way it will look on me, whatever the case may be. So, and our taste changed. My taste has changed immensely, even though I do have like nostalgic things that I do like. So I to answer your question, Dave, about mechanisms, I've always had them innately, and I like, they're always to myself, just because. I'll give you another small one, and then I'm done. Jordans. I don't know if we have Jordan heads in here or not. I was big into Jordans at a big portion of my sneakerhead life. Not so much anymore. And that comes with age, and I think that the company has been giving us dog shit for materials and rising prices, and have lied to us. No offense to any Jordan guys here. But always from day one, when they were retroing like 3 colorways of a model in a year, if they did that, early 2000s, mid 2000s, countdown packs, all that, when they were sparse and they were spread out and it wasn't a colorway every Saturday, my construct for that was, I'm only going to cop OG colorways. Only OG colorways. If I'm getting a 4, I'm getting a fire red, I'm getting, a bread, a white cement. I'm not getting, or military blue. Those are the 4. That's it. 4, if it wasn't on Jordan's feet, and I'm not even like I'm actually a Knicks fan. I can't stand Jordan, but as a sneakerhead, it is what it is. But yeah, to answer the question, like, even with the Jordan brand stuff, when I was heavy into Jordan, I had a construct. I am not getting mocha browns. He didn't wear those. I'm not getting I don't know, I'm drawing a blank here. Ones are big now. All these colorways they're doing with ones. If I was still into Jordan to this day, if it's not an original colorway, and he had quite a few of the ones that were OG colorways, I'm not getting it, and I always said that, because the Jordan, other than the sneaker itself, means more to me from when I was a kid that never really had them. And now that I have the means to purchase them, I'm going to do so. So just give you a little example of some mechanisms that I just kind of put in myself, like internally. Sounds cheap and crazy, but that's what I did.
I want to add something to what Vinny said that kind of stuck out. Like, going to Jordans, right? I am just like everybody else that was in the 80s. I'm a child of the 80s. Like, Jordan was my thing, was my jam, as the new kids say, right? But I think if my mom bought me a pair of Jordans, you're gonna wear it until the heel came off. Like, if it wasn't comfortable, you better figure it out. Like if it's gonna rub like, you know, a particular part of your foot raw, and she spent over $100 in the 80s, like you're gonna wear it until you don't have any other options. So in my head, I think as I've got older, like I care about things that I didn't have the ability to care about in my youth. Like I do care about, like Justin said, about the quality. So I do chase quality. Now it just so happens that I've landed, you know, I'm New Balance heavy. I do mess with Saucony. Like I'm in those worlds, but in part I didn't have another choice growing up. Like much like you all probably, you know, you get your school shoes, and then maybe I could, you know, finesse my mom into giving me another pair at Christmas, or my birthday's in May. So, you know, Mom, can I get these for my birthday? And yeah, I usually could talk her into it, you know, one of those major holidays in my life. But the rest of the time you're going to wear it and you're going to have to figure it out. And now I don't have to do that, you know, and I think that's another world, because, you know, like I hear James talking about the infrared 90s, which if you're a child of the 80s, you definitely had the infrared 90s. I bought them and I was just like, meh, like it just wasn't like, like I like that it takes me back to my youth. But then I'm like, you know, like you all are speaking to, I know it's not going to be what I think it is. And then I'm going to be pissed that I put it on my feet. And the same thing, you know, they just retroed, to Vinny's point about the Jordans, they just retroed those fire red ones. That is where it started for me. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I want to buy those. But then the angel on my shoulder is saying, you'll never wear them. Like, so why would you do this when you can have, you know, Concrete Jungle 998s? Like, that's what I want. And so I'll just wait. And so I'm trying to wait.
How about the quality? You're probably glad you didn't buy them, but how terrible quality the fire red 4s were. Even like crazy Jordan heads, like we're just like, these are terrible. Why the heck? Like how bad? Like so much so where like, so I don't know if you guys know OG support group Sean Pollard. You know who that is? No. So he's the only Canadian in OG support group. The rest of them are in like Chicago, West, South, things like that. But like he was talking about it on another pod, and he was saying how, you know, so he buys like every single like Jordan release, like every Jordan release that he likes, OG related, things like that. And he was excited to get them because the shape was coming back to the 4s, right? And he bought a pair, and he bought 2 just in case, because he knew that the quality, like this is bad. When Jordan heads, he always tries to buy 2 because he knows one of them is going to be bad. That's not good. Like, like that should not happen. Like you should like not have to think like, so little bit of like the rep fake world, right? Like most reps and fakes now are better than the real Jordan, like quality wise, which tells you so much now. It's like the only way that these resellers or these resale shops can tell is from the box most of the time now. The shoe is the same. And so that's I won't get into that market, but it's just like, why would you buy the real one in that case? Right? Like it's a Jordan head. Why would you buy that? Like no one would tell the difference. It's on your feet. Who cares? Right? Like luckily, I think everyone here, you know, again, New Balances don't have reps except for maybe for Fresh Goods, but like, you know, I'm an Adidas, like I wear mostly Adidas now. They rep Ultra Boost, and that's about it, right?
And
like
Yeezys, yeah.
And Yeezys, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
true.
And it's funny, I'm an Adidas. I like Adidas a lot, but I'm not a Yeezy guy. I respect Yeezys. I just, again, to Vinny's price point, like I'm not spending. So like in Canada, nothing's under in the Yeezy realm. No, actually, only one pair is under 300 Canadian dollars, and I won't go over 300 Canadian. That's kind of like my budget, right? So it's interesting, like how you're talking about the US, but like from the Canadian side. Yeah, like I'm not going over that. I went over twice. I went over twice. And one of them was actually the Kithmas, the Kithmas pair. I know.
I did it too. So
I got the three color one. So like not
the burgundy pair.
Burgundy, cream, and like mint.
Okay, I got the red pair.
So
The red's the only one to buy out of
That's
that
the
pack.
only one.
I know. See, like you guys are hating. You're like,
Hey, no, I'm with you. You know, I did that too. I got desperate. I put a bid up on StockX, and
So didn't.
somebody bid it, and I was able to. You know, I paid, but I paid at the border. I paid 300. So, but still.
So for me though, it was actually interesting. Like I usually never try to go into kit stuff because I'm like, first I'm in Canada, so it's like pretty hard to get it as it is. But I kind of know. I worked with someone who works close with Ronnie now, and out of the blue, he messages me on December 23rd, and he messages me. He's like, "Hey, do you want a pair of these?" And I'm like I can't say no. Like I'm never ever.
I
have
mean,
to say,
somebody offers you a pair of shoes, you're like, yes, please.
but like to be honest, I was like super excited because I'm like, oh, like that's awesome. And then like it was either mint. See, it's funny. I wasn't gonna get the red pair. I'm not a red sneaker person. Like I have one pair of red shoes, and it's the D Lillard 2 Rose Cities that I play basketball in. That's it. but yeah. So like it was like the mint or the other one. But I'm like, oh, you know what? It's a cool colorway. It's got all three. I know you guys don't like it, but like I like how it came with like mint laces, which is what I put in.
No, I mean I personally like it, but it's just me too. Yeah.
But it's interesting though. Like I was just in shock, and again, like I said, like there's no way I could have honestly, I did not have the money at that point. I had no money. It was 2 days before Christmas. I didn't have any money. But it was one of those things like I had to, like in the sense of like, you know what, in the future, if like another Asics like drops of Ronnie Asics are amazing in my opinion, right? His New Balance collabs are okay, like what you guys were talking about the New Balance episode last, but yeah, like he may reach out to me and like, hey, do you want a pair of these? I'm like, yes.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
It's like you don't get that opportunity that often. So once the
I do
opportunity
not.
arises, even if you are in a tight spot, I totally understand.
Yeah.
If I've had those opportunities once in a while too in the past where somebody who I knew would reach out to me. He's like, hey, we got an extra pair. Do you want to buy it? I'm like, sure, why not? I'll come and buy it.
Yeah. It was kind of cool because I got to skip like the whole like process. He just like sent me an invoice, so it was like, oh,
nice.
That's pretty awesome.
I will warn you though, it can blow up in your face. A very famous customizer reached out to me because he saw my New Balance collection and offered me one of his customizations. And I thought, I'd hit the lottery because I knew who he was. I'm just not going to say it in this. When I got it, it was just trash. It was just, I was so disappointed. The craftsmanship was just, it was whack. Like, and so I the same way you're talking about, James, I totally agree with you. Like, you can't say no to certain things, but I wish I would have said no to certain things because it was awful.
I was actually disappointed with the quality on the back of my pair. I will say that the Feig were like
it's
not
screen
centered.
printed.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even that. It was just they weren't centered, like on either pair. But it's interesting. The rest of the shoes like perfect, but it's just that, and it kind of bugs me because like I put my sneakers in drop fronts. That's another way actually to keep myself from buying more. Otherwise, like there's your drop fronts, there's your closet. You can keep a couple in the front closet, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like it actually restricts me, and it also helps me appreciate them because like you, Dave, right? Like you got your shoes right there. By looking at them, you enjoy them more, in my opinion, right? Like I see it, my drop fronts, I'm looking at them like all the time, and I just like, but yeah, because they're facing out, I see it just slightly off, and it's like, but so it kind of frustrates me.
I think that's another thing that I kind of wanted to talk about too. Is like, I think we're all. I mean, well, 3 out of the 5 of us are parent, and Justin is not. But Justin
I'm the only single guy here, so
enjoy it while you can. But like, what are the things that you start to appreciate as you become a parent? Is that I got to get my money's worth out of something, right? So like, I think that sort of plays into the brand and the things that I will buy as well. So like, you were talking about the Jordans, like Jordans, and I know Vinny talked about Jordans too. But like that's another thing that sort of bothers me is like Nike. Nike, I bought my wife a pair of the last infrareds, not this pair, but like the last ones. And she really liked them, but like I hold them in hand and I'm like, really? Like I know it was like 140, 160 or whatever at the time, but I was just like, man, hold a New Balance, like right? Like hold a made in USA New Balance compared to this. And it's like it's a totally different feel, right? So that I think for me, that has a big sway on me too. And so I know we talked about it on the New Balance episode, Garrett, just about like how New Balance is kind of going to the like made in Asia for a lot of their releases now. And that is one of the things that I haven't gotten a really bad pair, but like, I bought like the Tokyo RC 1300s from them, and those are made in Asia, and that was like one of the first made in Asia New Balances that I really have gotten from like their new silhouettes, and it was kind of disappointing to me. They're nice. I wore them on foot like for the first time. It took me like 5 months to wear them, just because I didn't think I really liked them, but then I wore them and I was like, oh, these are really nice, like these are cool. But as a dad, or just as a person that's really into making sure that you are budgeting and maximizing every purchase, what are some things that you guys think about like that really like pull you in? And it's not just because it's not just wearing it, right? It's also just like, hey, I want to make sure that you're not giving me like the cheapest quality thing.
I think I think you and I have messaged back and forth about, if you look at my IG, my son has 9 pairs of New Balance and he's 4 years old. I will go to an outlet and usually I cop for him at an outlet because he's not as hung up on the things that I'm hung up on. The only thing at an outlet's worth copping for me is like the 993. That's the rest of them I'm not a really big fan of because they are the made in not USA, not England usually. But I think, listening to you all, especially the ones that have kids and seeing James Cool RD, I think as long as I know, like both of my kids have, this sounds crazy being a sneaker discussion, but it's the reality. Both of my kids have 529s. And for you all that listening that don't know what that is, or just don't know what that is, that's a savings account for their schooling, into the future. And so for me, like that's important. And I live well within my means. And so, even when I hear people talking about, and I can definitely relate to James, when I hear people talking about like budgeting and things of that nature, I just have to keep myself like, I could buy whatever I want. Like that's a reality for what I do. And I put myself in a good position, and that's not a flex. It's just, I won't, like, because it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And I think it was Vinny speaking to that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I can't tell my son that I spent $1,000 on a pair of the JJJJJJs because they're a cool color of green. I like them, but I can't do it. Like, I can't move myself to do it. But what keeps me kind of like grounded is that I know I've invested in their future. And, my wife, she doesn't get on to me about shoes or anything because she knows that not only have I invested in their future, I invest in our future. And so this is just extra for me. This is a hobby. This is something I enjoy. It makes me think about my childhood. But as I pass it on to my son, like my son will know the difference. I think, what is it? Will Smith said about Jaden Smith, your mom and I have money. You're broke. Like that, like to me, that's what it is. But as long as I'm taking care of the things I need to take care of, I think we grow up, especially in the culture that we kind of grow up in, people want to feel normal, right? And so they buy Jordans, they buy, Supreme, they buy all these things with the idea that it's going to make them feel whole. And the reality is it's not going to make them feel whole. So to me, if you're a sneakerhead, and I can't say for the right reasons, but mine is because it makes me think of my childhood, like period. Like that's why I keep doing it. Not to feel youthful. It's not the fountain of youth or anything. I turned 41 this year. So I was listening to Vinny's age there when he said it. I turned 41 this year. It's purely based on, have I handled the other business? And if I haven't handled the other business, then you shouldn't be buying anything. And that's just the way I think about things. If I can't pay my house note, or I can't pay my car note, or I can't pay my light bill, or whatever it is, especially with these crazy ass electric prices during the snowstorm of 2021
And
in
that
Texas,
was insane.
with people with $10,000 electric bills. Luckily, I'm not in that world. But if I can't pay that, then I'm damn sure not buying some shoes. And so to me, like, keep a level head about this. And I don't know how many of you all think about it, but I look at all these IG people, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but I can think of one off the top of my head.
Say his name. Say it.
You can see some people, there's this one guy on IG that buys everything. Everything.
I think we all know one of those. I think we all know one of them.
We all know one.
We all
I
know
wonder if it's the same one.
He's from the Midwest and he buys everything. And I think he has a blue collar job, but whatever.
Oh, I know who he's talking about.
No shade, but I wonder what his 401k looks like. In my head, I'm like, is he going to have to work for the rest of his life because he has to buy every shoe that comes out?
That's serious, man. Like you say that, I always think that, so there's a couple Canadian sneaker podcasts, and one person in between the two podcasts, there's three of them that are in each, but there's this one person and he buys everything, and I'm like, I don't even know how he does it. I'm like, what do you do for a living? I'm so curious. Every time someone brings up a job, they all talk about their job, and then he never says anything about his job. And I'm like, are you a drug dealer? Do you make millions of dollars a year? Because I don't know how you keep up. But I did find
rock.
No, he buys it and then sells it immediately. Yes. He just buys it just to say he bought it.
Exactly. So I found that out because one of my buddies, one of the OGs in the Toronto area, he was like, yeah, I know them. That person's very different than they used to be, and this is how they do it. They will buy. They'll a lot of the older stuff that is worth a lot. They'll sell a ton of it so they can buy that newest greatest thing, and they're also gifted a lot too. That also helps, but yeah, I think of so you guys, yeah, it's called 401k or 520, whatever. So ours is our ESP and our RRSPs. So ours is we have education side of it, and then we have our retirement, right? So obviously the E and the R is the only difference in those, right? But yeah, so my wife and I, obviously education is a little bit less expensive than the US, but we still save for it, right? Because it still costs money. We got 2 kids, and we're and my wife, so she just finished her PhD, so she was in school for 11 years. So,
congrats to your wife.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So she's an epidemiologist, so she is a frontline worker. So she's very proud of her. I'm very, very proud of her. Through thick and thin, we were there. But anyways, with the savings aspect, right? You have to think about yourselves and your kids in the future, right? At the end of the day, obviously if one of your kids decides not to go to school, whatever, it happens, but at least the savings is there for them to take it still. And then on top of that, the retirement side of it, right? Yes, houses are worth, you could sell off your house in the worst case scenario when you retire, whatever, but to have that extra amount is important. And I don't even want to imagine what some people's debts are in the sneaker world, because I can tell you right now is that unless you're getting free sneakers, you are in debt a significant amount if you're buying every sneaker is, right? And but yeah, now I will say from a sneaker perspective, I thought it was kind of more material related, and how the longevity of having and what you buy. For me, as much as I love a beautiful suede sneaker, I love them, but I can't buy a ton of them because I have 2 kids and a dog, and I live in the country. And guess what? I can't wear them. Like we said, we've all said you want to wear all of our sneakers.
Yeah.
I can't wear them with sneakers because I walk outside my house, like, yes, like I'm paved driveway, but still, like, even when it's wet, I'm like, ooh, I have suede sneakers on. I'm like, should I wear those today? It's like, I don't want to have to think about that, right? At the end of the day, I'm like, ruin like this beautiful suede sneaker that like my New Balances, right? That's all my good suede sneakers are my New Balances, of course. But like, I'm starting to look back into the leather, but as I think in the New Balance episode, you're saying like the Jordan leather's quality is so bad, and Nike quality is like plastic on a lot of the runners.
Well, don't they just use synthetics now? They don't even use real stuff anymore.
Yeah, they don't use it. Well, yeah. Who was it? Garrett, was it you that mentioned it, or who's the Boston guy from the last episode? I think he mentioned it, like a 70 like synthetic 30% like leather or whatever. It's like a super low mix. But as much as like it's hard to find that median when you're buying, like you're trying to find quality and you're trying to find something from my side, durability. So that's where Adidas comes in in that case, where it's a really good combo of both. I find like they don't need some of their stuff, they use almost premium materials, but not quite. And I know it's like still like, okay, it's one or the other, but they feel good. They feel soft. They feel nice compared to Nike, where it's like the same material, but somehow it's like, feels like plastic is kind of my thing. So like from like the OG ZX line, so like that's like my like what I go for with Adidas is like, and like the A to ZX line was awesome to me. A lot of stories behind that, but from those, even like the OG models that they released, they're just very soft materials. It's synthetic. However, if you compare it to like the Air Max 90s or a pair of Air Safari like Atmos that I have, like they're not as nice. They're not as comfortable to wear. Like they're just not comfortable comparatively to what I've been buying from Adidas. And that's kind of that, but yeah.
Justin, I know you're like the biggest material fanatic.
Yeah, I admit I'm nuts about materials. It's definitely a big factor for me. I know a lot of people would disagree with what I think, but I guess it's just because I come from a different place and how I look at sneakers in a different way than a lot of other people who are really into sneakers. But yeah, I really get into the quality. I really like to find New Balance mostly because I know it's their quality. And so I like looking up New Balance and trying to figure out like what the kinds of materials they use and if it's a material that I would want to have and hold. And sometimes, I get a little bit upset. Like for example, with the 991 anniversary pair, I was a bit upset that they used Nubuck. I was really hoping that they would have used suede, but it's not a bad Nubuck, so I'm not terribly disappointed. But
It's
I'm
really
slightly
high
disappointed.
quality.
I know it's high quality, but it's Nubuck. For me, I just have this feeling that Nubuck is low compared to suede. That's just, I don't know. Like every time I hold Nubuck shoes and every time I hold suede shoes, like I just feel like suede shoes have a higher quality. It just feels better in hand.
They're more comfortable. They're more comfortable for sure.
They're softer, and I think the Nubuck is more durable to your point before, James. So I don't know.
Yeah, so it's just me, but I guess since I am a single guy still, I do have a bigger budget that I can use for sneakers, but I still have things that I have to worry about. I still have to worry about rent, still have to worry about car payments, insurance stuff. I also put into 401k. That was the one thing that my dad told me to do right from when I started working full time was put into that 401k because I come from an immigrant family as well, like Vin, and he didn't start working in the States until like he was in his late 30s. So he was telling me like, even in your 20s, start saving so that you'll have a better retirement account than I do when you retire. So that's definitely a big chunk. But yeah, it's hard, but it is hard to actually save anything outside of that while having this kind of hobby of being with sneakers and trying to get different things. But also, I guess I've also strayed a bit, and recently there hasn't been as much that I've been interested in compared to like years in the past. And so I've ended up going into other hobbies that are expensive as well. So, I've also recently, well, I don't know, like last year, the year before, I got into looking into more clothing, trying to find interesting brands that make good quality hoodies and t-shirts, uh, and then even more recently, like Paolo talked about before, I do dabble a little bit in trading cards. Not so much anymore because the prices are ridiculous, but but at least before, like 2 years ago, the prices weren't ridiculous. So I actually was able to buy some stuff. But anyway, so yeah, I there are definitely things that I have to control, but yeah, compared to you guys, I have to say I do have a little bit bigger budget.
Well, as you can see, we have a travel wall behind us. That's actually where a lot of our excess
Cool.
money goes. So,
Very
Nice.
cool.
There you go.
but there's no travel right now. Hence the trailer that we bought, so we can go camping in the summer. So
Cool. That's nice.
Cool. If just to answer the question, I think you all said it perfectly. It's all about priorities. I think we are all level-headed in this game because we're vets. We've had, I'm sure, our ups and downs, but we definitely have priorities. Life comes before our hobby. Whatever that may be, whether it's traveling, take care of our children with setting them up for their futures. And I think that's what will hinder or help us in making selective choices for sneakers. You all said it. So there's nothing for me to add other than what's already been said on that topic. Because I do the same thing, have the plans out for the kids, make sure your retirement is as best as it could be, because something like what we're experiencing now could always hit. And like Justin's father, I come from a background where it's always about saving. Yeah, always, even if it's under your mattress, it's old school Italian save. It's always good to have for whatever you need. And just to add something to Justin, Justin should probably have a blog for clothing, because he knows, he searches, he looks for real chinchilla. That guy is out there searching for real materials. That guy is a material whore. So let me tell you, I've known Justin for a few years now. What's it been, 4 or 5 years now, Justin?
Yeah, pretty much.
This guy loves materials. So I got to tell you, 2 brands I could think of off the top of my head that he's introduced me to. I've never heard of them before. Ame Leon Dior, which I'm probably mispronouncing. That is the first guy that ever brought it to my attention, and he was on it before it became a wave. Like he's been there from the beginning. Chinatown Market was another one you were early on, and what was the other one? There was another one that the ABC Crystal. I saw you were talking about that a couple weeks
crystals.
ago. Like I've never heard of it before, and Justin presented it and talked about, an interesting background to the whole thing. Will I ever buy it for that price point? Probably not, because I'm budgeting for sneakers. But Justin, like, to your point, like, you really are ahead. Like, he should have a blog or something going. Absolutely, that would follow. But that's all I got to say about that.
So hits and misses. So I know, like, I have been, especially the last year or two, like I have been like James, like you mentioned before, you see something that you really want and you kind of like say, no, like I can't do it. Like, what are some of the shoes or just the situations that you guys have been in that have basically you've had to pass on something? And then what are some shoes that you've passed on that have come back that you've been able to hit on and get for like retail or get for under retail and you never thought you would be able to? And Garrett, I know you're like the master at this. So like I'll toss it to you.
So SBs, right? I was in, again, storytelling. I get back into sneakers and I'm immediately drawn to SBs because of the story. You know, anything from like the Oompa Loompas to the Dorothy's, like I just like that vibe because it takes, again, I'm in this because of my childhood and maybe better times of not being an adult. And so I gravitated towards the SBs, and damn, Travis Scott jumps up on a stage and all of a sudden every SB on earth, like he's not wearing the Dorothy's. Why all of a sudden did they jump from $85 on eBay to 400?
Yeah.
Like he didn't wear that pair. Like, and it annoyed me because I was like, man, because it was something that I was interested in. Again, the shoe that really got me back in is the Saucony Burgers. Like that got me back into really liking shoes because I was just blown away by, like, I guess, you know, like many of you, we can't go and touch these at the mall, but I could tell that the suede and the materials were just amazing. But more that I liked it looks like a burger without even telling you, right? And so I was blown away. Like even if you don't have that pair, I'd recommend getting it. It's Don't Tell New Balance. It's probably my favorite pair of shoes. But like the strings look like onions, like purple onions, and it's just like it's awesome. But again, it was storytelling. And I am sad that I missed the SB wave because I'm not gonna pay $400 for something a couple of years ago I could have copped for like $50, $85, you know, whatever. Um, I am thankful that I have beat the world to that New Balance game because, like, all of you, I mean, y'all have it at different times you've come into it, but I've been searching for like New Balance deep cuts, you know, like, you know, and I respect the Roberts of the world that are out there that you can ask questions to. Jim, you can ask questions to. They're old heads, right? And not age wise, but they've been hit to this new game, a New Balance game for a while. So you can just reach out to these people and they will give you information. And that's the first time I really started to see how much like Kith is hated in the New Balance world. So it's funny that Justin's a big Kith fan. Well, where I come from, Kith is not looked at positively, just like Joe Fresh Goods isn't looked at positively. And I mean, and I don't want to, we can talk, when we've talked about this before, but you know, I'm sad truly that, and it sounds like I'm on this hype train, but I'm sad I missed the SB wave because like I really like the stories behind a lot of them. And it's really cool that they gave people like small sneaker shops the opportunity to do these shoes and really tell their story through, you know, whatever it was that came off the top of some of these people's minds. Even the chunky dunks, to be honest, those are awesome, but I'll never own a pair because I don't like, you know, it's not even the quality. Like Justin liking the quality, I like the quality too, but I really like the story. And like to me, that's what I'm kind of sad.
Barry, quick question. Were you part of or did you like the original SB wave? Like we're talking early to mid 2000s, late 2000s.
No, because like David said, I was in college. And so like even if I wanted to, like I paid for my college on my own. So like even if I wanted to, I was working, like I wasn't really paying attention to it. So if it wasn't Converse at, you know, Ross,
Right.
We have a thing called Ross here, which is like the discount TJ Maxx, you know, whatever it is, I wasn't buying it. Like I didn't have the money for it. And
The reason I bring that up is because even then, the limited ones, the real cool stories like Mork and Mindy's and MF Dooms, like they were expensive and hard to get. They were like ultra limited. I remember like I was in college just like you, Garrett, and I could not get my hands on anyone that was worth like, I don't know, the Alohas, like there was the Heinekens, there were the Pigeons, obviously. What would they make? 80 of those, I think, whatever, how many pairs, you know?
And to me in that world, I'm talking more about like the lesser knowns that, I listen to some other podcasts and they talk about like, you could go pick up, this pair and this pair and this pair because they just sat on shelves. And again, like when I'm looking at like the Oompa Loompas, that's an ugly colorway, but I can see the Oompa Loompas when I look at it, that fluorescent orange, brown, and white, like that's what that is. To answer Dave's question, I can hunt down any New Balance, like I can get it, and I'm okay with not catching some of these more hype beasts, like the ALD 992s. They're still on my mind, 997s, the ALD 9997s. Like they're still on my mind, and I will get them. And I'm trying to learn patience. But back to that budget piece, like I don't have a budget. I will buy, like if I see something, and like you all know, it comes in waves. Like you will see, like I have in the back of my head, I have right now 20 shoes on top. Asked Dave to ask you the other day what you're interested in. I'm not really interested, but I have some ideas in my head. And if I could catch, if I catch a wave where I'm still searching, if anybody wants it, if anyone has it in a 9, I'm still searching for the Concrete Jungle 998s, New Balance Concrete Jungles. If I catch it for the right price, then I'm going to buy it. And maybe the next day I see something else that's on my mind and, I'm going to buy it. So to answer your question, Dave, like I've caught my whole damn collection, like I've got it for, like, I just waited, like, and there's nothing besides, Dave, you talking me into buying the mallards. There's nothing that I have bought that I haven't like waited for. And I waited long enough and I found it. Like I got the luxury goods for like $100.
Beautiful.
And that's, like, it's just, I waited and I found it. And if you look long enough, and, sadly, there's people on eBay and I'm not the one to tell them what something is worth. I'm not going to tell you what it's worth. And if you post it and you don't know what it is, my bad. Like I'm still going to buy it from you. And then I'm going to try to beat you up on the price of it. Like, so every pretty much New Balance, probably 80% of my collection is catching it on the flip side. And I've come in way late in the game, everything down, even like the Kennedys. I got the Kennedys for like $200 maybe. Like, and now what are they, like 1,000, 1,200? Like,
yeah.
I don't wear those either. It's so weird. But I can't let go of that one. That Frank the Butcher got me on that one.
Justin, I know you've got some deals too, like, and you've helped me out, like, and found some stuff. Any hits or any misses? Because Justin never misses. Here's something you guys probably don't know is like, and Vinny knows, but Justin never misses. Justin got almost every New Balance shoe from Kith last year, except one. Except one.
He's on the friends and family list.
I wish.
Him and James are now, apparently. So I'm going to text James when I need some kind of Kith hookup.
No, I do not talk to. I specifically do not talk to him. Or I talk to him like just DM. But yeah, no, I don't. I never reach out. It's one of those things like, yep, you can reach out to me.
Justin, what are some hits? What are some misses? I want to know the misses though, because you never miss.
Oh, what are you talking about? The majority of last year was a miss. I want to set aside Kith, right? Like, if we really, after Joe Fresh Goods, the rest of the year was a wash when it comes to New Balance for me. It was so difficult to get any real New Balance release after that pair got released.
550s? Did you get any 550 or no?
Well, I did get the AMA pair. That's because I'm on their early access list. That's the only reason why.
I told you, friends and family. I got it everywhere.
Justin has every ALD New Balance.
Almost. I'm missing one, but
you don't have the 827s. All the
no, I don't have the 990 V5s.
Oh,
I have the V2s.
You got the better one. You got the V2?
I have the V2s, but I don't have the V5s.
Oof.
Have y'all seen, just real quick, just because I don't mean to interrupt, but on the V2s, like I watch a lot of YouTube. I've become that guy. And I didn't realize how bot heavy the ALD 990 V2 was.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Like there's a reason you don't see those on secondary market at all. Besides, $1,200. There's no used ones coming out. There's a famous YouTuber out there that's all about bots, and he's got like 50 pairs like stacked up in his room.
Dear God.
Yeah, so you'll never get those unless you pay that price. Like you'll never get it. And he said he's just willing to sit on it. And it was whatever ALD released, there was a particular bot that just cleaned it out. So you will never get it unless you pay that price.
Well, yeah, that's because at that time ALD is not used to sneaker releases. They're when it comes to sneaker releases, the ALD is very new to the whole game. So, I feel like they still need a bit of work when it comes to figuring out a good way to release their sneakers. But at least, in the meantime, they take care of the people who really are loyal to their brand, though. They do. Well, for example, when it comes to the 990 release that they did, they sent out an email to all their loyal customers. They're like, here, choose a shoe. We'll raffle people off, and you might get a chance to get it. So I went for the V2, and luckily they picked my name, so I was able to get a pair. I didn't have to worry about anything. Didn't have to go through all the release day headaches and anything like that, But that's just because I've been with that brand for, I don't know, probably since 2017. And before they did any collaborations with New Balance, I got into them just because I found their store by happenstance in New York City and thought it was a cool brand.
Ronnie loves you. That's why.
I wish. Yeah, Kith was just crazy. I don't know what happened last year with me and Kith, but.
Well, Ronnie has a hand in Ame, so.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so
I don't know how.
That.
Yeah, I don't know how strong his hand is in Ame, but I think he's got a decent influence over there just because I think he helped out Teddy in the beginning when it came to setting up shop and getting and building his brand. So I do know that he's got a hand in it, but as to how strong his grip is, not sure.
Strong
But,
enough to pick you up.
Do you think he has money in there or just influence? I'm just asking.
I think he is partially invested in Amy. I would say he is partially invested in Amy. Yeah. But no, yeah. So other than Kith, last year, New Balance, yeah. But I basically, I'm definitely at the age with a lot of you guys where it's, you try for it. If you don't get it, there's something else coming along. You just move on. I have to admit, back when I started getting into sneakers back in 2016, I went crazy. Like I was buying up all kinds of craziness, and I would go for every release, and I would be paying resale left and right. I guess it was sort of all the different colorways and color combinations and models. I guess it overwhelmed me, and I didn't really understand it. I'd have to say part of the reason why I sort of calmed down a bit was, joining sneaker group chats and learning, talking with people, especially with David and Vin, and learning that, hey, we don't have to be getting everything.
You got to also kind of get it out of your system. Like when we get overwhelmed and then we're like, oh, we got to buy. But then you learn, I don't need everything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So basically it's just, those pairs, I don't think I'll ever get a chance to get them again, just because New Balance doesn't really do retros. Really, I think it's really rare for them to retro, and usually if they do retro colorway, it's just the GR colorway.
Right.
They don't. Yeah, no, definitely great.
Yeah.
They don't really retro collaboration colorways, so I don't think I'll ever get a chance to get any of them. But for me, it's not that big of a deal because I know, I'll be able to get New Balance another day, and it's just easy enough to move on. And like you said, David, I don't know how, but I was super lucky with Kith last year. And the funny thing was, the year before, I had barely bought any Kith, and then all of a sudden last year, it was just left and right. I got the 990 V2 dusty pink pair. I don't know how I did. I
Ooh,
just lucky
That's good.
lucky
Nice.
on the
Fair.
lucky on the clicking and the thing and all that. You know, I got the 998 CL pair. You know, and that was also by luck because I originally went for the 992. That sold out, and then I just what the hell? I'll just see if I can get the 998, and somehow I got through checkout. And like, look, I got it. Wow, I don't know, but
You got the
It really
colorist.
does.
You got the colorist 1700.
yeah, but that was help from somebody. That
Oh, that's
wasn't
right. That's true.
that wasn't
Yeah.
through Kith, and I think it's sort of there was a few stitching issues with it, but still, it's an awesome pair. I love probably my favorite shoe of last year was the 1700 colorist. Just because, well, one, I think it's the only 1700 that released last year, at least in America. I think there were some 1700s that released in Japan, but in America, I think that was the only one that released last year. And two, that's like seeing Ronnie's old form again when it comes to color blocking. And I'm a sucker for his color blocking when he does it right. And that, in my opinion, he did it right. But anyway, so yeah.
I was going to add that we were talking about quality earlier in Kit's lack of. I bought that 998 CL and it was missized. Like,
Really?
yeah, which is weird. Like I have, probably 20 pairs of 998s and it was a size, like a half size too big. And I felt that was weird. Like, cause you would think that they would pay, I don't know if they're using it. Someone told me they were possibly using a different form or something like that, but it seems like something that's important for you to be able to buy the size that you usually wear in all the other 998s that I had. And somehow, that happened. And then like Vinny and you all talked about that 992, like it really pissed me off that back part on that tab that says Kith was whatever, lasered on instead of stitched like the other 992s. And I'm just like, okay, I get that you're riding New Balance, you're riding the 992 wave. I understand that. But again, don't give me this like thing that the quality's lacking. And something else, I don't know if y'all noticed this in that 992 from the Kith Miss, like the material of the sock liner, it's different. Like there's like it's a cheaper, it feels like a cheaper like quality of sock liner. And I know that's weird, but when it's white, it stands out to me because I'm sitting there, especially when you pay, I paid what everybody's magic number is for that. I paid $300 for that pair of shoes. And that was with taxes and shipping, Vinny. So I kept to your rule. And I'm sitting there looking at it because I'm inspecting it, and it just doesn't feel like a GR pair. Because like every GR pair that I get, like if y'all saw my last posting of the 4 992s that I have, the quality of the regular, the gray, the purple, the navy is way better than that 992. And I just find that odd that like you're supposedly that great, but then I don't even think New Balance takes you that seriously, where they put their GRs out are nicer than the Kith ones.
And even to the point that New Balance doesn't really let people put their branding so much on their sneakers. So if Feig was able to put his name on it, it's a little perplexing to me that he wouldn't like permanently put his name on it, that he just kind of went a cheaper route. I don't know if that was him or that was New Balance's side. Like you said, the missizing part, Garrett, like I don't know if that's on New Balance or is that on Feig? Like I don't know. Somebody's a culprit here, so I always question that. I'm like, when it comes to collabs, like who's at fault? You know what I mean? When the quality control is not good. And I don't know, and at this point it's like I take the L. Like we're begging to pay for the sneaker. You know what I mean? It's like we should not. I don't know. This might be another conversation for another day.
Especially when to add what you're saying, Vinny. Another shoe that Mr. Blackmon talked me into buying without him actually talking me into buying was that Triborough Todd Snyder shoe, that 997.
With the
that
ND on the side. Yeah.
That quality on that shoe Dave can attest to this, and if any of you have it, I would recommend you get it. The quality of that shoe is on a different level. Like like the leather is just so buttery and soft, and you're like, wow. And then you get that Kithmith brick, and you're like, oh, okay.
But that's probably because Todd Snyder, the brand, is more luxury based, right? Like Kith is technically, I guess, luxury, but like it's not
They have
as
luxury
right?
prices.
I know.
Justin.
Well, I want to say that I feel like last year New Balance had a lot of problems with quality control, and I really think it's really all about the pandemic. In the end, New
Or they're
Balance had a
getting
lot
too
of
mainstream,
issues.
Justin. Or
What?
they might be getting too mainstream. Maybe they're taking on more than they can chew.
Yeah, they might
Don't
not be
scare
able to
me.
keep up with it.
Don't scare me here, Vin. Don't scare me.
I love New Balance. New Balance is my number one, but I'm just saying. I don't know.
No, I hear you, but I feel like, at least in my opinion, from what I saw last year and what I've seen posted before, I feel like the pandemic had a big impact on New Balance last year, and I think that affected both their timeline, their projects, and their manufacturing.
So to go to back to the budget side, the original side of it. I wanted to touch on this because it's something that so I don't always buy new either, in the sense of like I really do try to find used pairs. So especially for myself, I technically got back into sneakers because similar to Garrett, it was college years and then like broke years, and all I wore was like Vans and Converse. That's all I wore, right? I wore Chuck Taylors and Vans. And then when I came back in, so I used to work at Shopify. I think everyone knows what Shopify is by now because that's who runs every store. But I used to work at Shopify, and it was actually coming back into sneakers mainly because I visited New York City, and at that point, I had started to look at sneakers and, not look at sneakers. I was always into sneakers, but like at the point of like, I come to New York City, I'm like, last time I was here, I bought sneakers, and it was kind of like what brought me back in. And I even looked from like the 5-6 years ago and like how I would say matured in like what I purchased, or like what I think is cool in that sense, right? Because when I first got back into it, I was like, admittedly, it was a Roshi that I bought. It was like right before everyone had a pair, basically, right? It was like starting to be cool. Remember when like the sneaker community was like, "Oh, they're a cool shoe," and then they just went off the deep end, right? But I honestly like was buying shoes that I could afford, and like on sale, right? But also, I wasn't really connected to the community because I was just like most people, like I looked at Complex and Sneaker News and all these, and I was like, I can't afford those. Oh, I don't know anything about them, or like they're not cool. And I'm like, oh, am I a sneakerhead? Do I enjoy it? And like it took me multiple years, and to be honest, it took me up until last January to like realize like what I was buying was like what I enjoyed, and that made me like it almost like labeled me back to a sneakerhead, and something I never thought I was. I thought I just enjoyed sneakers and that's it. And for me, I always enjoyed the history, even if I didn't have them. That's something that like throughout these like 5 or 6 years that I've been back into it, I knew everything that was going on. I just didn't have them. And for me, in the back of my head, I was like, oh, am I actually like a sneaker person that like I think I am, or because I don't buy them? But like, thankfully, like I met a few people in the Canadian sneaker community, and it was kind of like, no, that's not how it is at all. Like you can buy what you love, and like, and like a couple of them are like, you have more knowledge than a vast majority of the people that buy like all these type sneakers. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, because I didn't know, right? Because like I hadn't researched the same way. But to go back to like the budget side of it, for the used pairs, Adidas is kind of like, I started getting into Adidas back in the summer, and it was mainly because I was getting so I bought the Jordan 1 light smoke, right? Like the ununions, as some people are calling them, right? Like the budget unions. And because I like them, right? Like I can afford unions. I'm like, oh, I hit on a raffle. Like it was my first raffle win ever, to be honest. Like I just didn't win any raffles ever. And I liked them, but I get them in hand. And I had a pair of, so I had multiple pairs of New Balance at this point, right? And I compare the suede and I'm like, this is not suede. This is like hard. This is not nice. Like, because I remember going online, people were like, oh, the materials on these are great. Again, all these YouTubers, everyone, oh, the materials are great. And I'm like, I'm not like a Jordan head or anything, but like, this does not feel like my New Balance pairs that like I just got. Like, so I had, so again, I only have like 30 to 35 pairs at a time, right? So I had the Barbershop 1600s, which are like from 2014. And the suede is like beautiful. And that's not even made in, they're not a made in US pair. They're not a made in UK pair. They're actually made in Vietnam. But the quality on them was pretty good. But then I have a made in UK pair of the 1500.9. It's like the hybrid model that had like the side, like the pink tongue one. I don't know if you guys remember that. Yeah. It's got the 990 V4 bottom and 1500 top.
Yep.
And I look at these and I'm like, this suede is amazing. And I think I got them for, they were 110 Canadian dollars for those. And it's like, and so like, that's like $90 American for basically that pair. Right. And again, like at that point I was like, why am I putting my money and my thoughts towards Jordans now? Because I don't wear them. I wear low tops. I only have the Jordan 1s because I'm like, okay, well, I have a pair of Chicago 1s and I have a pair of Space Jam 11s. Those are the only pair that I will never get rid of just because of nostalgic reasons. The Chicago 1s are actually like my winter boots. People are like, be free. Yeah, I know. People are crazy. Like, I don't know. They're not real leather. So they are like, it takes me like 2 seconds to wipe them and they look clean again. But yeah, I look at those pairs and I started to focus on the Adidas side because, to be honest, like I was introduced to a couple people in the Adidas community in Canada, and they're telling me the history of all these like pairs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why does no one know about like any history behind these Adidas sneakers? And it's just because like the mainstream side of it just focuses on Jordan history, and that's about it. Nike history of runners, that's it. They like don't focus at all on like the ZX line, which is actually super interesting. But I have these 2 pairs that I bought. They're not ZX. I think I paid like $60 Canadian total for 2 of them. This was last year. And oh no, wait, 80 Canadian, because one was like 60, one was 30. But yeah, super cheap. And so one was the LA Trainer. So it was I'm like big, I love history. So like the LA Trainer was literally made for the Olympic runners to train in, not like, and to use in their events. And it's hilarious because like, there's like these little pegs in like the midsole, like right underneath the heel, and people could customize them at the time. And I just think it's like such a wild concept. Like it's just a stupid concept because this doesn't actually do much, but like to think of like the history behind that. And then like, I also have the Montreal 76s, and they're a weird looking shoe, but to me it was the history because like I'm Canadian, Montreal Olympics, and for a GR shoe, the leather, or sorry, no, the suede is beautiful. I don't even know, it's almost, it's not as thick as the New Balance ones are, but the feeling of it feels like the suede, of the New Balance. I'm like, and I think they were like $90 American when they released, like 110, 120 Canadian when they originally released. And I'm like, why does no one talk about these? And all they want to talk about is Nikes all the time, right? It blows my mind. It's just like, because I think it's like that whole Jordan wave. And I'm like, Tinker, it's like, oh, we only want to talk about Tinker Hatfield and everything he created in the 80s and 90s. And it doesn't matter what Adidas did. And then it's just very interesting to me that with those things. But yeah, like with the budgeting side, because Adidas doesn't sell out most of the time, I'm like outside of like Ultra Boost a couple of years ago, right? I'm able to get like all the pairs I want, wait for them, and then get them for like 30% under retail every time, it seems like. And or because I have friends that, you know, are Adidas heads and they're like, oh, well, this one doesn't quite fit me. Do you want these? You can have it for what I paid for them, which most of the time is like their employee discount 50%. So I'm able to, so like I'm able to like, I don't know if you guys paid much attention to the A to Z X line at all, but so I have the Gore-Tex one, so the Iraq. So like any of you guys in New York City, like Iraq, like the graffiti group there. So they released 2 pairs. They were really expensive because they were Gore-Tex, and so like they're completely waterproof. They're gonna be my camping shoes, ironically, but I only paid like 110 Canadian, and they're 220 like retail, like brand new. So it's like, for me, I'm like, why? And I think I don't know if any, like I think Dave, I think you were saying you were listening to the Sneaker Dads podcast I was on. For me, mentally, I'm just like, why am I paying retail for a Nike shoe that isn't the best quality most of the time? Feels plasticky. It like, I will say the new Air Max 90s are much more comfortable than the past ones for sure. But like, why am I paying like full retail, or why am I worrying about not getting these classic pairs when I can get something that's higher quality and I don't have to pay full retail for? I can wait, I can think about it. Am I going to actually enjoy this shoe? Am I going to, you know, wear it? Am I going to have to, you know, replace it? Whatever. When I can just focus on this. And I think that's why I look at like New Balance, Adidas, Puma, like as of recent, like honestly, I know I said it earlier, but Puma's basketball quality, if any of you like happen to get your hands on a pair, the quality on them is like light years ahead of Nike's. It's like unbelievable, the quality difference. But no one talks about them because, well, they're not like huge in the NBA right now yet. Yeah. They got LaMelo, right? So
they're coming. They're coming.
They're getting all the young people, and like,
isn't Jay-Z running them? Isn't Jay-Z running their basketball division? Am I wrong?
Yeah, Jay-Z, technically
creative director or something.
Yeah, he's the creative director.
That's huge for Puma. That's huge.
Yeah. And then, well, then you have like Jerry, like Lorenzo going over, right, to Adidas, like creative director. So I'm actually curious to see what's going to happen there. Because I did like his Nike Fear God 1. I did like them. Was I gonna pay for them?
No.
Was I gonna wear them? No, because that's like they're
those
boots.
Things don't even look comfortable. Those things look like if you put them on, your feet hurt in like 10 minutes. So
it looks like a bootleg Air Mag.
I think it goes back to, James, though, what we're saying though. Like, I grew up in an era where Nike was king. Like, period. There wasn't anything else. And even if you go, you know, a lot of people, if you talk about a lot of like OG sneaker people, they're not a big fan of New Balance because the first New Balance they put on their feet were 574s, right?
Cold special.
And 574s are like, you know, you could get them for like 2 for $90 or something to that effect. And even Reebok, like if you go to the Reebok Classic, like you could buy, hell, I remember you could buy probably like 4 pairs for $100 at some point. And it wasn't even about the quality. It was about the, you know, when you walked into school, like, oh, you know, if somebody has some Jordans on, like, you knew if somebody had some Bo Jacksons on, like you know, that cross trainer Bo Jackson, like I fell in love, the one, the black and silver with the 34 on the back. Cause I'm a big Bo fan, like anyways, but I think, you know, depending on where you grew up, you know, like a lot of people with the Air Force Ones, like that's very much an East Coast New York thing. Like nobody I knew wore Air Force Ones in Dallas, Texas in 19, you know, whatever year it was, or even into the 2000s. I don't think anybody wore truly nobody wore Air Force Ones in Dallas until Nelly with his music video, right? And
We all had Air Force Ones at that point. Let's be honest.
I think Nelly ruined it. I think he ruined the Air Force Ones.
Oh, he
At that
did.
point, it was over.
But like I've never owned a pair. Like that's like Jabos. I never owned a pair of Jabos. Like I think when you're like in the South, that's not what was important to us. Like that was just not like to me as I think back, even I your formative years like middle school and things of that nature, people weren't wearing Vans. Like, and this is not a big, this isn't California as much as California wants to be Texas. This is not California. So we didn't have there weren't a lot of skaters. There weren't a lot, and to me, that's what you gravitate towards. So I hooped. So, you had basketball shoes because I played basketball, and that kind of like, that whatever league I was playing in, that was probably going to be the shoe that I wore to school on top of that, And so I think you gravitate towards what you like. And, I heard Justin, something that stuck out earlier. He was talking about avoiding the hype. Ironically enough, he's a Kith and ALD fan and all of these hype brands right now.
What do you mean? ALD wasn't hype when I got into it. So.
Sure.
And Kith also wasn't hype when I got into it either. So.
But you like it, and now, unfortunately, people who have got into your pool, and I think that's where the old heads get pissed off about things, is that now these shoes that you could cop for a reasonable price, I blow, like, for some reason, people really, really like that. I have the New Balance 999 duck camo. Like, I don't know why people like that shoe. I bought that for like $85. And people are like, hey, will you sell it to me? Nah, I'm not going to sell it to you. And it's
the 999s?
The 999, the duck camo 999, but also the duck camo 997. I get more reactions out of those shoes, and those are GRs. Like but I caught the wave before ALD made it popular, before, Kith made it popular again, certain styles. And I'm glad right now, and I hate to keep bringing up like 998s because I feel like people are going to jump on my wave, but that's what I like. That's what I prefer. And at some point, I'm going to be the grumpy old man, get off my lawn like Jim is, because like somebody's going to start buying 998s that they're just going to sit on. And it's going to piss me off because you're just sitting on this pair of shoes that I want. Like there's still grails that I have that I chase that, like I've talked about before, like, it's weird to me, and James, it's funny you brought up, I'm working on my doctorate myself, and I have a professor that told me that you will become the authority of your subject, like whatever it is that you're writing. And I'm thinking about like, how much knowledge is there in the world? How can I become the authority on that? But it's weird that like when you get into this sneaker game, like you start looking, like James talked about, the history, and you start thinking about the materials like Justin likes, and like you really start like seeing these things that are in your hands, and they're a part of history, and like you're chasing these ideas and these concepts. And it's weird because, I bring this pair up, I really want the Clark Kent 998s, right? And I think we guess there's probably like 6 in a size 9. I know 4 people who have them. Like, that's the weirdest thing to me, that I know everybody. Like Jim sitting on one of my 998s. I told him to leave them in his will. He's going to give them to me at some point. I'm going to talk him into giving them to me. But my point is, it's just kind of crazy that you get so deep into this that you do know about the history of ALD. You do truly know, the history of the Adidas, like you were speaking to. And I think you just find what you like. And I cannot encourage people enough to like collect what you like. Like, I don't mind buying an ALD or a Kith if I like it, but I'm not going to buy those bricks that you and Justin and James are sitting on because they're ugly. And I'm not doing it. But that red pair, yeah, like, that's my favorite color. So I'm like, okay. But especially that mint one, that is the ugliest shoe on earth. I can't stand white. That doesn't have a white sole. Like, that's another thing. Like, I won't buy any shoes that have white soles because they get dirty. Like Justin, you talking about that ALD 99B5? It has a white sole on it. Like, you walk outside, like you take a step off of your porch and it's already black on the bottom of those shoes.
Yeah, well, I don't know. For me, I guess I just care more about the upper than the sole.
And I get it, but all of us start out being that neat freak sneakerhead. Like, I'm not the neat freak sneakerhead anymore. Like, I'll clean it if I notice there's a smudge on it or something. I have a drip of something, and I this is how I know I have too many shoes. I have a drip of something on the toe box on my my Kennedys, and I haven't cleaned it. Like, and I'm like, I will if I ever wear it again. Like, or if I sell it, I'll clean it. Like,
when we hear, buy what you like, which we hear all the time, and we all subscribe to that, and we promote that. Just playing devil's advocate here. A lot of the younger kids getting into the game, they don't have an identity yet. They haven't figured it out. Like I was saying to Justin before, like me too. Like I've evolved. I went from Jordans, old school Nikes, like bows and basketball, and because that's what I'm not wearing basketball sneakers anymore. I'm almost 40 years old. Just not my style. If you do, great. But for me, I can't walk around with pumps. I love the pump. The D Brown pump, dope. It's so dope.
Too high.
But I can't wear it.
But I can't buy that. I can't wear it. I won't wear it. I'll look like Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell or something.
There we go.
So I'm not gonna do it. But then when I got into runners, like I was nervous about runners. It was overwhelming. The collabs. What the hell is that? I don't know anything about this. What am I going to abandon my precious Jordans that I've collected over the years and get into Asics, which I always thought was like for runners, and by runners, I mean, kids that I hang out with in high school, or old people, New Balance I was always into. I always had the 574, like Garrett said, in high school and stuff like that, just because there was I could afford it. But Ronnie, has a special place in my heart. As much as I can't stand him, he's a friend that has betrayed me. He has a special place in my heart because he opened me up to the runner world. He opened me up to Asics. Yeah. My first Asics that I was into and I was late. It was like 2013, 14. It was like the Mint and Cove Gel Light 5, not the 3. I wasn't around that early.
Good one.
Yeah, and I was like, me and David talked about the sneaker. And I didn't cop because he used Shopify and all that, and it was so hard to get the rib shot. But no, it was just like, and then like Justin, I'm overwhelmed. What the hell is going on here with New Balance? What's going on with Asics? I want it all. Concepts was in there. Everybody, and then from like 2013 when I got into it to like I want to say 2016, there was like a 3-4 year period where runners just everywhere. They were everywhere. It was too much. Where then I was like, all right, I gotta slow down with these Gel Light 5s and all that. And you would catch up. And when StockX first came out, another revolutionary reseller market for me because, excuse my French, fuck Flight Club. You know what I mean? That's for the tourists and the Joe LaPumas of the world. You know what I mean?
Complex. It's the complex store.
Yeah. So could you ever go to a boutique? Could somebody go to Concepts for once? But and then everything got into tech, and the Asics wave is not so big on the classic runners. They've gotten into more of like their tech stuff, which is cool, and I'm sure it's comfortable as heck. I don't really own any, because again, it's another like overwhelming, like, am I really gonna switch over to this now? Another construct that I have to answer your original question, Dave, because I keep thinking of all my rules. I got all these rules. I only bought for years New Balance collabs. If it was a collab, now you're gonna hate this, Garrett, but New Balance had too many models. New Balance is for, like their slogan, for the intelligent sneakerhead. They don't do names. They do numbers. That is crazy confusing to a casual fan coming from the basketball Nike world. They're like, what the hell is a 997? To us, we're like, that's blasphemous. A 997 is a classic sneaker. Look at the thing, So just learning the numbers, which I'm still doing. I'm still learning the numbers. and they're still coming out with new models, and they're the classic models. And I only bought collabs if it was Concepts, Feig, anything that was like Hannon. I think we got to give major respect to the European shops, Foot Patrol,
Yeah.
you know, and all that. And I was like, that's how I'm going to limit myself. Because if I start getting into GRs, I'll never stop. So from there, I just I bought some GRs. You know, I bought the 991 anniversary, broke my rule. Because now the collabs are impossible to get. Whether it's Bodega, Concepts, whatever the heck it is. I don't know what's going on with New Balance, where they become the thing. And I hope, you know, they get played out. I hope people move off of them. I hope Jaden Smith makes them bad. I hope, you know, I hope whatever.
No, I hear you.
I hope Little Yachty, Justin Bieber wear them, where everybody's like, oh, it's over for New Balance, you know? And then they move off of it. Jordan, Nike have staying power. To answer your question, Dave, because I'm all over the place. I think like I look for sneaker deals and I know what I like, you know. I have an identity. I know it's changed over time and it's okay to change. Just be prepared that it's going to hit your wallet when you do change. And I'm kind of off on Asics right now. I would love to keep them. My feet, kind of like Paolo said last time, they say it comes with as we grow older. My feet have gotten bigger. I am no longer a 9.5, and I like my sneakers snug. No, I'm a 10 at least. I don't know if I'm still growing. I have no idea. So I have to switch over a lot of pairs that I had at 9.5. I will not put my feet in them. I'm done taking insoles out. I'm done hurting in them. I'm not doing it anymore. I don't want to have foot problems. I don't want, I really don't. And these sneakers are all comfortable with great technology that stood the test of time. I like classic runners. And by classic runners, that brings me back to Nike now. Now, I've always had a love for Air Max. Like that was the sneaker in high school if you weren't a Jordan head. And Air Max was always expensive. The new Air Max model was like $149.99 on the back of an East Bay magazine. You wait for the new one to come out so you can get it for $129.99. You know what I mean? And I'm into classic Nike runners from the 80s, 90s. The quality is for shit, but they've gotten better, I will say, according to Nike standards. And let me give you some examples. You guys all kind of gave some examples. The Nike Skylon 2, I bought for fucking $45. And I'm waiting, I'm looking to, and to answer your question, Dave, I also lowball the shit out of people. Like I'm that guy that'll offer you like $20 for a $90 sneaker. You know what I mean? And that's like a Skylon. Other sneakers I like that and again, now I can't really gauge the market as I once were able to because I got a job, I got other things going on. Like the Air Max 97s, like the OG colors, like that's all I went after. They were hard to get. The Air Max, I really grail to me. I wanted it since I was a kid looking at it, East Bay. I don't know if you guys know it. It's the Nike Air Tuned Max in a celery colorway. Skepta.
Oh yeah.
Skepta colorway, but it's the OG back in '99. I was in high school when that sneaker came out. Never got it because I was working a part-time job. I just didn't have the money to do it. That sneaker is everything to me. Now, I don't know. They never retroed it. I don't know if it's like, should I be entering a raffle at end where I'm going to drop like a lot of money on? Or do I wait it out here at stateside and try to get it and it'll sit on Dave, we talked about it, the Nike Air Max 2 Lite. They came out with a plethora of colorways. I got that sneaker for like $42.
Yep.
And that sneaker is the classic. I want in the Miami Dolphin colorway. Like the sneaker is so ill to me. And it's like, a lot of people are off of that, like the non-hype Nike runners. And to me, the quality is good if I'm getting them for $100. I got the most comfortable Nike sneaker. I would love to hear everybody's most comfortable Nike sneaker in their collection because I think I have the answer. It's the Nike Romero 5. I don't know if you guys own it. I don't know if you guys know it. It's a very interesting back runner.
It's not ugly. My style, but I heard it's comfortable.
Your feet. You're an ultra. I don't know if you're an Ultra Boost guy, James.
I love.
It's comparable. comparable. That is the closest thing. Ultra Boost way better in cushioning than any Nike could ever imagine to be. But the
You know what-
Vomero,
You know
I
what
gotta,
classic
like-
runner? You know
Say
the
again?
classic runner that I love in mine? Nike Airspan 2. Super comfortable shoe.
I don't have. I would love a
It's
pair.
it's randomly a super comfy shoe. I
Yeah.
I did not expect it.
And some
It's
of these
super light.
runners, they do it right. They do it right. Like I like the Screen Green Huarache. I think Huaraches have kind of bit the shark, and I think they've become way. I see middle schoolers with Huaraches on. I'm like, I'm over it. But there's only one colorway I like that I want, and that's the Screen Green. To me, it's an important colorway. I had it on the last release. I'm ready to sell it. I put that bad boy on eBay already because I want this new one. They did it remastered. They did it more comfortable. The colors hit better. The materials are a bit better. The shape is there. What pisses me off about Air Maxes is the bubbles are a lot smaller. Like Nike, you bastards, stop with the bubbles. The bubbles need to be bigger.
The 90s are big again. The true retros, not the recrafts, but the infrared, laser blue, and the spruce lime.
Right.
So those ones are back to the OG.
I bought the infrareds, and I have the pair Dave talked about in 2015. They're night and day in quality. But again, is that quality still good? I like they brought the arch support, the original box. People still complain about that. I think that's kind of key.
That's cool.
I think that's cool. And it's just sneakers like that. Everybody wants to go this way, I go that way. Diodora, we haven't even mentioned Diodora. I know Justin's Diodora head. I know Dave was heavy into Diodora. I don't know if you're still.
Yeah, I still got a ton. I sold a ton of them, but I still have, I still got my Castellers, my Liras. I have 3 all gone pairs. Giallo.
You had all the all gones, right? You had them all.
No, I was too short, and then.
How different was the Diodora when it hit the market? The Espresso Restrepo, whatever that was called. Ronnie was selling it. Then like I was like, oh my God, I'm Italian. It's an Italian sneaker. I gotta get Diodora made in Italy. The spaghetti was coming out of my ears. So I had to cop the Diodoras and I think they're great quality. Do they last? I don't know. People are having issues with them now. I got that Hannon pair. I hit the raffle on the N9000.
Ooh, oh nice.
But I'm waiting on it. I don't know what to do with it. Like I want to wear it, but I have the Castellars, which I'm keeping, but I don't know what to do with this Hannon pair. Like I love the Saturday special, but this Hannon pair, the alternate, like if this thing ends up being like $7, $8, $1,000, see you later. Like I don't want to be like that, but I can't justify to anybody, not even to myself, that I'm wearing sneakers. And I kept the Castellars and I've worn them. And I'm like, it pains me that I had, like, how much of a snob, an upper middle class snob am I, that I have these luxury items on my feet, because I do feel an extreme amount of guilt because I have bills, you know what I mean? So it's definitely like, I'm very conflicted with the worth of sneakers, where it makes me think, and like I opened up with, every sneaker has a price. I am emotionally attached, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, if somebody comes with the right price, take it. I will buy 4 other pairs, like Justin said. I will buy 4 other New Balance that I'm waiting on, 4 other New Balances that I like, because I know they'll continue to manufacture what I like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and like, I feel like the same way, like Ven, you kind of mentioned it, that like it's easier for me, I feel now, to sort of like ignore the complexes and everything and not go towards the hype and figure out something else. Like I'm thinking, I don't know, like I have so many things that I've like gone on waves with. Like right now I was telling Garrett, like I'm on a 1500 wave. I have an MB 1500. I've been on GOAT, just sort of like grabbing pairs for under like $100. Like they'll be listed at 120 and I'm like, here, I'll give you 99. Like I'll give you $80. Like, and people bite. And I feel like, I think Garrett, you mentioned it on the New Balance episode before, that like resellers keep catching bricks on stuff. Like they're grabbing stuff that they don't know and they put it up and they're like, I don't know if this is gonna sell. Like, like that happened with the Todd Snyder 992s. Like, they bought all of those. They bought it all of those. And I'm not paying $500 for that shoe. I barely wanted it at what it was going for retail. So I don't know. Like I feel like I'm in a bargain. I'm in the bargains all the time now. Justin put me on to so many shoes. The Aries 991 from last year. I got those. I got those for $70, I think.
Awesome.
That's really a great shoe.
Because of Justin, I think I got the Asics. Speaking of Asics, the OG, the lemon lime, like,
oh yeah, those. Yeah.
We got those for like $100 for 2 pair. Yeah. 2 pair, brand new, a month after they released. Also, those made in Japan ones.
Even though they weren't made in Japan.
They weren't made in Japan. The Kobe Beefs. Yeah. The Kobe Beefs, they were $240. Got them 120 or something. Like,
yeah. Wait, they weren't actually made in Japan, those ones?
No.
No. Yeah, the tag, it's made in like Vietnam, sadly.
Yeah, but they're super nice though.
That I think a lot of us like, and again, I think it's the chase. Like I am so into the chase.
Oh,
and a lot of times when I do land it, maybe like many of the girls that I dated in my life, once I did have it in my hands, it just wasn't what I thought it was. And so I had to set them free, But I feel that way because again, I think a lot of us, like we buy shoes that you can't go touch. Like you can't go into Foot Locker and pick up the stuff that I want. Yeah, every once in a while they'll retro Nike, since I do like what Nike's doing with the retroing. I think that's a smart move. I think it's a very smart move because people like me who remember all these shoes that for whatever reason, mama wasn't probably buying you another pair that, at the wrong time or whatever it was in your life that you didn't get them. So I think that's a brilliant move. But beyond that, like, I think it's the chase for me. It's set a price in, I would recommend to anybody getting into this, set a price in your head and don't go over it. Like, don't break that rule for any reason unless, like Dave taught me in our last episode, like unless it's a grail. Like to me, again, what's a grail to you? That's debatable. But for me, like there's certain 998s that I really, really are interested in acquiring because I know I'm not going to be disappointed necessarily unless the sizing is off. But we'll let we won't charge Kith that. But I think it's very much for me like that chase, and it takes me back to, and maybe it is because I'm married and I can't chase anything anymore. Like I only can chase my shoes, and so, and I obviously just playing around with that, but I really, really like the hunt, and I like getting it for the price that I want, and I like certain people that are very snobby about their prices on eBay, and they, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and I'm going to hit you up every week and talk to you about how long that shoe has been sitting there because, there's just ones that I like. And once I get it, then I can see if I really liked it. Because again, I'm looking through a computer screen. Like, I don't know that I really liked it. I don't know if the quality is good. I don't know that if it'll fit right or whatever it is. And then, I resell it. Like if I don't, I resell it. And I think the difference between me and a lot of the other, I guess, resellers and things like that, I'm not a reseller in that sense, but I'm not looking to like get over on anybody. Like I don't go into it trying to make money. Like as much as like Vinny was saying, like you might cop the right one. And then if it's worth something, then yeah, I'm going to sell it for whatever it's worth. But a lot of the New Balance, especially because I feel like the community has helped me through this, the New Balance community, and they have given me a lot. Like in our last episode, I ended up walking away with a great pair of shoes just by talking to you all in this community, right? And so I want to pay that forward if I have the ability to pay it forward. So I'm not trying to get over on anybody. I'm going to resell for probably, I want to get what I got in it. And then other than that, I'll just let it go, you know?
I know James has to jump off, wife calls. So I will, any last minute sort of tips for people that might be listening that are like, I don't know how to tone it down. I don't know how to rein it in. What is one thing that I need to sort of add to, my, what mechanisms do I need to add, like Vinny was saying, to sort of keep myself on the straight and narrow?
Don't believe the hype, buy what you like.
I would say remove certain accounts from your IG. Like become more curated in what you follow. And if you curate your feed a lot more, you won't get as much hype blown into your face as you might if you just follow anything sneaker related.
I think I'm sorry. Go ahead, Garrett.
Go ahead, Vinny. You have it.
Yeah, I just think like these guys said, buy what you like. But again, like I feel like there are people out there that are in the sneakerhead community that have no, who am I to say, but won't have like a sense of style to begin with. You know what I mean? So I feel like people are figuring themselves out, figuring out what sneakers is part of your style. You know what I mean? So like you see other pictures with like people putting up like runners with like NT denim or something like that, but I don't know, my advice would be make sure your money is right, make sure you're doing it for a passion, make sure your bills are paid, don't prioritize. I think that's kind of like the main like symbolic word for our discussion tonight. And it was like, we have priorities. Us guys are at a certain age, a different stage in our life, to somebody that's in their 20s, somebody that's single, to somebody that's just starting out in the sneaker game at 13 years old. Whatever the kid, where they have parents that'll buy them stuff or they don't. I think we're all in different stages. I think everybody needs to respect that. When you're in the IG world, when you're in that social media sphere, and this goes to everybody, just be a little bit more welcoming, be a little bit more, I guess, don't be such a gatekeeper where you want to turn people away. People come into our pool, they come into our thing. Don't get too bitter about it. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, nothing you can do. You're a consumer, so consume what it is that you really find to be fresh. Your friends may bust on you, your mother may yell at you for having it, but at the end of the day, if you can have that sort of confidence, and I think we've all, in this group, we're at the age where we've all reached it, but other people haven't. You know what I mean? I don't think they've, so when we say buy what you like, I feel like it's an overused, and there's no offense to anybody that said it here tonight, because it's I promote the same thing, but I just, seeing the other side of it, say buy what you like to a 16-year-old, he'll tell you, screw you, I know what I like. I like Travis Scott. You know what I mean? Travis Scott is my Grand Poobah or whatever, whatever rapper was big. It's my Nas, my Jay-Z. Travis Scott is everything to me. So he's got sneakers. I want those. I just think, the passion will be there. Everybody's just got to be a little more patient. And, I really hope these companies really go after these bots and it used to be bootleggers. Now it's bots. Now it's 13-year-old kids at sneaker shows. Remember those sneaker shows? I used to go to them in the beginning. Then I was like, never again, because I can't get a sneaker lower than my $300 price point. So, again, and I just kind of take it with a grain of salt. This is part of the game. It's become mainstream. I've allowed it to partially make it become mainstream, and it is what it is. We just gotta, let's not get too emotional with it, as passionate as we are, if that makes sense. That would be my advice.
Yeah, and I would add, don't chase the likes. I see that with people that they, they're chasing how many followers they can get or how many likes they can get. And don't get me wrong, I've been surprised, especially about some of the ones that get likes and the ones that don't get enough likes in your head and all those things. But I think it creates this insecurity maybe within yourself that, like Vinny's saying, maybe it took me growing older to understand that I don't need to impress anyone. I put it out there honestly, and I say this to people all the time. I put them out there to hopefully inspire others, that to show you what is possible. But like Justin says, I have limited who I follow, because it's the same crap over and over and over again, and I don't want to see the same pair of this, that, or the other. I like seeing things that are different. I do appreciate other people who have copped things for a reasonable price, or they didn't, and they spent $600 on the JJJ. I'll never have them. That's cool. I would just say, I do believe, much like anything else, that buy what you like, and that can be overplayed. But there's I'm a big Bob Marley fan, and one of his quotes is, "Money can't buy life." Like, please keep trying to live your life. Keep trying to live. And to me, part of that living is not taking necessarily a picture of it. I am guilty of taking time to take a picture of some shoes because I'm proud of them. But then also I like to inspire others, because many of you have inspired me. And, like I brought up a couple of times that Dave has inspired me to buy some things. And it wasn't about the money. It's not about the purchase. It's that I saw something within your pictures that I was like, wow, yeah, that's worth going and getting. And I think what makes this community amazing is the people who don't build the walls. It is the people who don't try to get you off of their lawn. It is the people who give you the knowledge. And sometimes they're not going to say what you want, like, or what you want to hear. And like, maybe that's what you need. And, even down to one that I wish I would have bought at a certain time. I could have got the Joe Fresh goods for like, what, 400, I think. And I would have been cool with that. But then I talked to so many people, especially the old heads, that hated that shoe because it was an MB1 or whatever, whatever excuse they wanted to give it. In hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have listened, and I would have just bought that shoe because I wanted it. And, I probably would have been like Vinny and sold it again. I'm not going to lie, because I would have been like, I can't wear this. But again, like, don't chase the likes. Like, put what you like out there in the world or not, and ask questions and reach out to people. People are surprised all the time. Like, I speak to the wealthies of the world and things of that nature because they respond. Like, and don't flood his mailbox, but I'm saying, or his DMs, is that what it's called? But a lot of these people you think won't respond to you, like, really respect the game, and they will give you feedback and they will give you knowledge. And then on top of that, you start learning. Like, I love New Balance because of you all, because it's given me the opportunity to speak to you all on a consistent basis. Hell, I probably speak to Dave more than some of my friends and my family members, my own mother. I probably speak to him about different stuff. And a lot of times it's not even about shoes. You just have ideas and you throw them out there. So don't chase the like.
James, what's up?
No, that's good, man. I just said, like, I basically can just repeat essentially what, honestly, what Vinny said. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a lot of those things that, savings are important. Don't like shoes are shoes. There's always going to be another shoe wave, right? But like, outside of buying what you like, you got to take care of yourself and your family and your kids, if you have kids, first. Like, that's just my opinion. But
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, like, the thing that I've learned personally has been to get up and walk away and, like, put the phone down, like, and then sort of like ground myself. All right, what do I want, like, in the next week? What do I want in the next month? What do I want in the next year? And then sort of go, okay, is this pair of shoes something that I picture in that future, in that next week, in that next year? And, you know, a lot of times it's no, and I'm okay passing, you know, like, and I think people need to be okay with passing. Like, I feel like almost, you know, at this age, it's almost a bigger flex to be able to get it and walk away than it is to be able to pick it up and like post a picture of it. Like, I don't care about the picture. I will post a picture because I'm like Garrett said, I'm really like proud of something that I got. I'm really like happy about it. But like, I get so much, I don't get a lot of stuff anymore, but like when I get stuff, I will hold it for a few weeks, you know, not because I'm worried about the price, but because I'm worried. I don't care that anyone else knows that I have it or that I bought it. And I don't care about the likes. Like, I don't, it's about me. Like, it's about something that I feel fits in with my aesthetic. So, you know, I'll think about the purchase, make the purchase, and then I'll walk away. I have it. I don't need to flex it. And I think, you know, everything is so fast now. We can, you know, it really matters that you take a break and you take a step away. You know, you don't follow people, you walk away and you sort of like, you know, appreciate something for what it is for you. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is like, you know, if Instagram wasn't there, would you buy this shoe? Would you buy it for you? Would you wear it for you? You know, and there's a lot of stuff that I do that I feel like, you know, I started off like Justin, just buying everything. You got to get it out of your system, and then you realize, yeah, I can't wear it all, and I definitely won't wear it all. So it's got to go, or I got to pass.
Dave, you said something real cool that resonates with me. We've been around before Instagram. I think we've been
Yeah.
sneakerheads before Instagram. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I think like that speaks volumes to our passion. And again, I don't want to come off as like a sneaker snob, like some of my friends call me, but I'm into the materials, I'm into the colors, and we do it because of our aesthetic and what we like and what we're into. And you know, James likes history on the Adidas and all that. Like that's you gotta respect the sneakerhead for that. So dope. And you know, we're not chasing likes. You know, I think it'd be nice, but we're not chasing it. You know what I mean? Like we don't need what the kids say clout. We don't need it. You know,
Yeah.
because going different is actually our sort of clout. Like being different is probably where we want to go. You know.
Absolutely. So I know James got to go. Justin, did you have a last word?
I already said it. You know, you gotta curate that IG. Gotta curate it. Gotta keep out all the junk from your feed, or it's gonna tempt you and make you spend way too much money.
Right.
His background is amazing, though. Look at all of those gems just laying around.
And lots of garbage too, but
Well, Justin, I want to see. Talk. Let me
But
see.
look, he's got a bunch of boosts back there. I see his Nikes are on point.
oh yeah, they are in there, yeah.
And
Oh
he's
yeah, I
like
see it.
nonchalant about it. He's like, I don't need to be Dave and flex my whole
I don't know. Yeah, well, I guess I'll just say quickly that probably my favorite Adidas is the Packer Ultra Boost that came with the 3 different Ultra Boost shades that they just randomly dropped, and like we just wanted to do a random drop, and I was able to get a pair. So that was fun. But anyway,
check out, if you like Packer, check out the Packer Classics that I think the Reebok put out a classic pack, which was like I think like 30 different. They gave 30 different companies the ability to drop, and they did ones based off the Aztec colorway, I think it was, and it's an awesome shoe. Like
that's
it's
cool.
and I got that.
Was that the ventilator? You talking about the ventilator?
No, it was just a basic leather classic Reebok. Like it's the only pair of Reeboks that I own, and it's like it's a really cool pair, and it's done by Packer. And I mean, look at black.seal, and you'll see my pair that's out there. But it's a really cool collab because
That's cool.
like Vinny said earlier, not to belabor this, but I too started out in that, really back into that collab world, because I thought it was really cool that these boutiques get to put their time and energy into these ideas. And, you know, not everybody, and not to again harp on Ronnie Fike, but he has done how many shoes now? Like, not everybody gets to do that. So as much as people bag on Joe Freshgood for the 992, like, not everybody gets that opportunity. So I think it's really cool when you put your heart and soul into the collab. And I think that's a big difference than somebody who's a professional shoe designer, and they get this opportunity to keep doing these shoes and colorways and all that stuff and color blocking and all that. Like, I think it's amazing when you get that opportunity. So much love to collab. You know, I respect that to the ceiling.
Well, my laptop's about to die, and I know James got to go. But I really appreciate you guys jumping on. Always cool to chop it up, take a break, especially like perfect day on a Wednesday, help break up the week. Just 2 days left, 2 school days left before the end of the week. So I know we're all looking forward to that. But yeah, thanks a lot.
It was my pleasure. This was awesome. You know, it was great meeting Garrett and James as well. What are your IGs? Make sure I follow you guys.
Mine's James B Will 2.
James D Will 2. Okay.
And what was yours?
Vin the Chin. Like Vin _the _chin, after the great mobster that ratted on everybody.
Justin, yours is harder to remember.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I made it that way, because nobody picks it. But but yeah, no, mine's it's just dude with 3'5", 3'6", 3'7". So yeah.
BLK.SEAL, Black Seal. It's actually the rum that Hemingway drank.
Nice.
Cool.
In a dark and stormy, if you really want to know. and like Dave knows, I'm a principal in my real life. So not that I'm ashamed of being a sneakerhead, because all my kids know that on Fridays, I'm rocking. And I'm making them look bad usually with them, but I just, it's easier that way. I don't put usually put my full name and everything out there into the world, just because it's
right.
Red tape.
Garrett, I'm a teacher.
Awesome.
I have my administrative degree, but I just couldn't make the jump over. I couldn't go to the dark and stormy side. I couldn't do
dark
it.
Side.
I couldn't do it. Not for me.
Oddly enough, I didn't get into it for probably the right reasons and everything, but you find something that you're good at. And I was fortunate. My school in 2019 won National Blue Ribbon, which is, there's only 300 schools.
Very nice. Very nice.
And I was finalist for National Principal of the Year. So,
nice.
To me, a rising tide lifts all ships. And so it's people like you that have afforded me the ability to do what I do. And
cool.
I taught for 8 years, so it's not lost on me. Like,
it's awesome.
I haven't forgot. This is what I do. And the doctorate is actually in leadership and policy for superintendency. So I'm heading towards being superintendent.
District level. Yeah, good for you. That's awesome. If I ever move out to Texas, I'm coming to you for a job.
Come on. Everybody else is moving to Texas. Come on now.
Oh, man.
I got to get the energy straight before I can.
Yeah,
we got to winterize. We got to winterize the energy grid.
Then we have electricity over there.
That was no joke, man. That was no joke.
Yeah, I shouldn't even play like that.
Oh, it's cool. I have a New York sense of humor. It's all good. If you're not bagging on somebody, then it means you don't like each other.
Oh yeah, Dave knows all I do. Oh, and we haven't even really talked sports. We just did a little bit of Griffey stuff. I go hardcore with sports.
Oh, wow.
Oh, hell no. What the hell is that?
James is going to have a tough time for the next 10 or 15 years with that cup.
Oh, man.
James, are you going to go check out the Valencias?
What's that?
The Adidas, the next city series from Adidas, Valencia?
No. So my next will probably be the Forum Lows.
Oh, okay.
I don't have like the OG colorway's gone, but they have a gray like vintage style version.
Okay, cool.
And actually, while we're talking, one of my Adidas guys just sent me 25% off on them. So I'm like, oh crap.
There you go. You're all set. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
Alright.
have a good night, guys.
All
Take
right, have a good
care.
one.
Nice meeting you guys.
Yeah,
Alright.
nice meeting you guys.
Later.
Thank you.
See you later.
Hey, Dave.